Welcome to the CCEF Blogcast, where CCEF authors read their own blogs. Today, Todd Stryd is reading his blog titled A Personal Experience of Shame and Hope. Todd shares an example of shame in his own life and how what God says about us is ultimately true.
A personal experience of shame and hope. I felt shame last week. The township sanitation worker slapped me with a written warning. It was bright orange and plastered on my garbage can for everyone to see. Apparently, he found unauthorized material in that garbage can, namely a bunch of concrete. I wish I could say that I wasn't aware that heavy items like concrete are prohibited, but I was fully aware of that. I consciously decided to push the boundaries of what was allowable. Guilty as charged. Maybe that's why the sanitation worker's chastisement had so much impact. Or maybe it's because any disapproval and disappointment shakes me up. To be fair, it's likely a bit of both. The reason I share this story is that in the midst of all that was happening, I also found myself noticing things about the experience of shame. Here is some of what I observed. Number 1, shame is a bodily experience. When I saw the written warning, my legs felt a bit shaky, my heart rate increased, and I lost my appetite. Number 2, shame turns you in on yourself. I was immediately caught up in my head, distracted and analyzing, trying somehow to find a way to convince myself that I didn't do something wrong. I felt disconnected from those around me, and it seemed like there was a piece of me that wasn't fully there. Number 3, shame doesn't care if it's legitimate. Our bodies don't differentiate between whether you did something shameful or not. You will likely feel the exact same way. It's only in retrospect that we have enough distance or wherewithal to process and appraise the incident. Number 4, shame can't be explained away. Good luck convincing yourself that you don't need to feel the way you do. I tried. I attempted to rationalize and trivialize it, but to no avail. And number 5, shame has to run its course. Ugh, since shame contains a bodily component, it has to wear off, in a manner of speaking. It will take some time for the hormones to dissipate and the bodily systems to reset. And all of this because a sanitation worker found concrete in my garbage can. This person doesn't know me or anything about me. And yet, I experienced tangible and palpable shame. How much more significant it must be for someone whose shame is perpetual or involves a family member, neighbor, or colleague. Whether it's a singular episode, like in my story, or a chronic life experience, having some insight into the physical and mental experience of shame helps prepare you for its eventual reoccurrence. But there's something even more fundamental that needs to be understood about the experience of shame, and it is this: what feels true is often different from what is true. This fits my experience to a T. My feelings of shame were so real and powerful that I was tempted to question basic things I thought I knew about reality. Namely, I am God's child, I am acceptable, I am eligible to serve God, etc. Shame can threaten our foundational beliefs like this because in the moment it feels like it is the most accurate representation of what is true. My only hope, and yours, is in what God says is true. His message transcends the experience of shame, and it grounds me in what is real and unchanging. Shame does not decide my identity or my status before God or my future. Nor does shame determine my competence to love and serve others. My status, my identity, my future, and my qualifications to participate in kingdom ministry are secured for me in Christ. Paul hammers this home in Romans 6-8. First, he proclaims that I am dead to sin and alive in Christ in chapter 6. Next, he tells me that much of the time I won't feel that way, chapter 7. And finally, in chapter 8, Paul implores me to remember that even when all this doesn't feel true, it still is true. God claims his people and shores up their frailty and weakness by means of his Spirit.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the CCEF Blogcast. For more resources, including videos, books, podcasts, and articles, visit ccef.org. Today's fun fact is about our custom-made podium. If you attended the 2020 Virtual National Conference, you may remember a large wooden podium in our broadcast. This podium was handmade by a local craftsman named Gary Chrisman, who hand-matched the woodwork from CCF's Falcondale Manor.